Hello, coaches. Welcome back to another episode of Coach Better Spotlight. My name is Kim Cafino, and I'm here to help you coach better. After decades as a teacher and coach in international schools, I founded my company, Eduro Learning, to help you recognize and leverage your influential leadership so you can move from feeling like just a teacher to a confident leader in your school community, however that looks for you. I work with clients around the world through our certificate programs and private mentoring packages, and today's episode highlights something that we often talk about: how to find the right fit when recruiting for a coaching position. And this is unique because it's coming from a school leader or a recruiter perspective. If you have a topic you'd like us to talk about or a guest you'd like to see on the podcast, please leave a comment below. Join our Coach Better Facebook group or find us on social media at Eduro Learning and send me a DM. Today, I'm chatting with Shannon Beckley, Director of Teaching and Learning at Graded Sao Paulo in Brazil. This spotlight focuses on what Shannon looks for when hiring new coaches. In the full-length podcast episode, we also chat about what makes coaching successful in the various schools she's worked with and the unique model of coaching and professional learning that the team at Graded are currently building. To listen to the full episode, subscribe to Coach Better wherever you get your podcasts, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel here on YouTube to catch all of our latest Spotlight episodes. After the show, head over to coachbetter.tv to get all of our resources for instructional coaches. Tell me about your practice when you're thinking about hiring coaches. What are you looking for? What stands out to you? We could talk a little bit more about why you went internal if you want to. You already answered that question, but if you have more to say, please don't hold back. But I'm just thinking about you and your position. What are you looking for when you're hiring for coaches?
I'm going to answer that, but I want to say one thing about what you were saying about us finding a focus. I thank you for saying that. I appreciate that, because on the ground, it doesn't always feel like that we have that clear focus, if I'm being completely honest. And the reason that I say that is because coupled with that is the courage to say no to some things. And we're not always great at that yet. And it's hard. So, we talk about, we need to know what we want to say yes to so we can learn what to say no to. But I just want to say, like, in finding that focus, it's not just about naming the focus, but it's also being courageous enough to say no to things. And that goes back to the change model, to name the things we're going to let go of. And so we're still wrestling with that. We're not quite there as much as we want to be. So I just want to be transparent about that. Thinking about hiring and for coaches, one of the big things that I personally look for in terms of hiring is the disposition and, being a learner themselves. But also earlier in the conversation, we talked about what is the role that we want these coaches to play. So again, something that some of your listeners might be familiar with, and I know another guest that you've had, Joellen Killian, she talks about the 10 roles of a school-based coach. And I've done work with schools where, as a leadership team, we've dived into those 10 roles and had some really concerted discussions about, at this point in time, what roles will the coaches take on and what roles will they not take on. So, if they're going to be a classroom supporter and a learner and a catalyst for change, for example, then that's going to be a certain set of skills. If they're going to be a resource provider and a leader of professional learning in group settings, that's kind of a different set of skills. So, the exact skill set is matching what is it that we want those coaches to do. Regardless of that, and those specific skill sets, I think it really is a disposition, because there's lots about those skill sets that can be learned. but somebody who will come in, who will be an active listener, who's reflective, who's willing to wrestle with change. Like in our work at Graded, we're the learning lab, and by learning lab, we have a physical space on campus, but conceptually, it's our professional learning sort of department or house. We have 3 norms for ourselves, and it's to be present, which means to engage, to listen, to question. It's to be open, which means to be open-minded, open-hearted, open to feedback, and to be willing to unlearn, relearn, rethink, reimagine. And so those are the norms that we hold ourselves accountable to. Those are the norms we're bringing to our group settings right now. And so those are the dispositions that I would look for. And then there's the behaviors that flow from that.
I so appreciate the piece about the 10 roles of a school coach and hiring based on the roles we want the coaches to fulfill. I think first of all, it's rare to find a school administrator that has even heard of those 10 roles or would be able to have that conversation about that. So that's awesome. But then making sure you know what you want the person to do so that you're hiring the right. It sounds so common sense. Why aren't all schools doing that? But I think so many times there's a very nebulous understanding of what the coaching role is. They're going to make teaching and learning better, or some kind of arbitrary statement. And so how do you hire the right person for that position? Often it's replacing the last person, or it's the person with the most personality, or it's the person who can sell themselves, as opposed to what you would do in every other position is say, what do we need this person to do? And then hire the person that can do that job. So simple, but so wonderful to hear it from you. So thank you for sharing that.
One of the international schools I worked with, the leadership team, we were doing that work, and they came up with 6 or 7 of the roles that they wanted their people to take on. And then I said to them, okay, but you know that you're going to have 3 positions. And they said, yes. And each of the 3 positions will be a half-time position because they also will have teaching responsibilities. And they said, yes. And so we did okay, so let's draw a circle. And this is your pie graph. Okay, right away, let's draw a line down the middle because half their time's already taken. And we visually did it in a pie graph. And they went from 6 roles of a school-based coach down to 3 because it became a capacity issue. And of course, luckily for this school, this conversation was before they finished hiring. And we were able to take it down, narrow it down, and get it to okay, these are the top 3 things. And then we were able to support not just those individuals coming into that role, but the whole school. And we were able to think about what are all the various relationships, their relationships with leadership, their relationships with teachers, managing the expectations for their time. That was just a huge, just drawing it out on that pie graph and thinking about realistically, if we're saying we want this amount of time with them in the classroom and classroom supporter role, and they're 50% teachers, but we need them to be writing the curriculum, you just got to have the conversation.
That is so brilliant. I'm so glad you shared that because I have so many conversations with coaches that are struggling with that very thing. They've been hired, for whatever reason, this process didn't happen. They've been hired, they come into their roles and it's beyond the capacity of a human person, right? And so how do you help your school leader understand that without sounding like you're complaining, coming in with some solutions? I can even imagine talking to my coaches and saying, well, can you draw a pie graph right now of what you're actually doing and then show it to them? Because normally I talk about writing a job description and showing and comparing and looking at the expectations that the school leader has versus what you're actually doing versus what you thought you would be doing, that kind of thing to get on the same page. But I love the visual of this because you can't hide behind if you have 50% teaching load. That's, like you say, half the pie. Done. That's great.
Yeah, it's a great way to prioritize.
Yes. Thanks for watching today's clip with Shannon. If you are thinking about moving from a classroom role to a coaching role or moving to a new school as a coach in the upcoming academic year, I would love to support you. I work with clients around the world in private mentoring packages, and one of the most common ways I support them is through the recruitment process. Our work together includes things like adjusting and aligning resumes for each individual school, reviewing interview questions, role play and practicing the interview process, debriefing interviews to see which school and which positions are the best match, networking and connecting you to others who can support you in the recruitment process, and helping you identify what is most important to you right now so you can say yes to the right position. Having this kind of personalized guidance through the interview process can really help you stay focused on what's right for you and your family right now, as well as highlight any potential gaps or missed opportunities in your recruitment portfolio and the networking process. If you're curious about the support, you can find all the details at edurolearning.com/mentor or DM me at edurolearning on any social media platform and we'll chat about the options. Even if you're not job hunting this year, join our Coach Better Facebook group and connect with us on social media at Eduro Learning and send me a DM. I would love to chat with you about coaching or recruiting anytime. See you next time.